Joe Biden, next president of the United States. It's going to happen. I don't like it. I don't like it for a lot of reasons. Maybe primarily because I believe that he stole the thing with the help of Democrat operatives and the mainstream media, okay? So, any chance that Joe will grow into the role, suddenly become an honest, upstanding guy? No, of course not. He's 78 years old. Who Joe Biden is has already been determined. Got caught lying in the most spectacular way back in 1987, and he's still at it. Just this afternoon, a press conference. Wow. Well, you tell me. Let's look at the massive contradictions. Here's what Joe said, and this is what Joe is supposed to be good at doing. Listen to this.
My overarching objective is to unify this country.
Unify this country. Well, that sounds great. Sounds great. But like politicians everywhere, that's all they do. Say things that sound great. Because right after that, well, I think he revealed himself again to be just another phony politician.
To hear some of my colleagues, Republican colleagues, talk about how shameful it is of the way Ted Cruz and others are dealing with this, how they're responsible as well for what happened.
Do you think some of them should resign? Should Senator Cruz or Senator Hawley resign?
I think they should be just flat beaten the next time they run. I think the American public has a real good, clear look at who they are. The acolytes that follow him, like Cruz and others, they are as responsible as he is. And so it's not about whether or not they get impeached. It's about whether or not they can continue to hold power because of the disgust the American people have for their actions.
We don't have disgust for their actions. You see that right after he says he wants to unify the country, he's calling out Ted Cruz, Hawley. Yeah, sure, the swamp may not like these guys, but tens of millions of Americans admire those people in Congress, in the House, and in the Senate who stood up. The Constitution, the Electoral Count Act of 1887, this is within the law, allow for this. But look at the contempt that Joe and other members of the swamp have. Oh, he mentioned impeachment. Guess what? According to his public comments, he's basically giving Nancy Pelosi the green light to impeach President Trump again. Now, Joe has wanted to be a powerful person his entire life, and he's going to let this hysterical woman, we all remember this moment, he's going to let her try to impeach the president. He should have come out and condemned the crazy idea. Quite frankly, I don't think it's possible, but if it is possible, it should be stopped. That's not going to unify the country. Not at all. Not at all. And there's all this kind of stuff about the 25th Amendment. Nancy Pelosi, really? She's talking about the 25th Amendment, taking the president out before 2 weeks? Can you wait 2 weeks? Nancy, you're a joke. We know you're a joke. Joe, you have the power now to do something about this. You have the power to do something about this. But unfortunately, Joe, you're in the exploitation phase, aren't you? You just want to score more political points for your side. Nothing about unifying the country. And how your side right now is scoring political points, is blaming Donald Trump and Republicans everywhere for the horrible things that happened earlier this week in Washington, D.C. The riots on Capitol Hill. Poor young woman killed. Now a D.C. police officer died as a result of his injuries. Catastrophic failure of security that conservatives everywhere condemned immediately. Liberals did too. But the idea that Donald Trump is responsible for this is a lie. It's a lie. I watched that entire speech that he gave, not to a mob, but to a group of Americans. These people became a mob. Why they were lit on Capitol Hill the way they were? But listen to what Donald Trump said. This is not inciting a riot.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Peacefully, patriotically, make your voices heard. Now, I could not help but notice that the entire media political establishment, left-leaning political establishment, had a remarkably different tune over the summer, spring into the summer, when we saw billions of dollars worth of damage done during those horrific riots from coast to coast. We all saw him, and we all saw Joe Biden hem and haw when it was time to talk about condemning the violence. Well, not right away, that kind of thing. You want to see the contradiction? You know how they're calling out Donald Trump right now, laying this at his feet. They're very selective about what violence horrifies them. Take a look at this fascinating compilation of what the left-leaning media were saying about the riots from this summer.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly.
That ain't a riot, what we're seeing right now in Minneapolis.
They are strictly principled anti-fascists, and they've taken a principled stand to stand against white supremacists and white nationalists wherever they may show up.
I argue to you tonight, all punches are not equal morally.
It says it right in the name, Antifa, anti-fascism, which is what they were there fighting. Listen, there's, no organization is perfect. There was some violence.
Any reasonable person would say we shouldn't be destroying other people's property, but these are not reasonable times.
But thank goodness for the looters, man.
And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
I don't care that much about statues.
Shouldn't that be done by a commission or the city council, not a mob in the middle of the night throwing it into the harbor?
People will do what they do.
They do what they do. You see the contradiction? Now, we were condemning the violence when it happened then, and look, I'm a conservative. I lean to the right politically, and I'm a Trump supporter. And we condemned what happened on Capitol Hill this week because it was outrageous, indefensible, should not have happened, and those who broke the law must be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and pay heavy, heavy penalties. But for political points, they're trying to blame Trump, guilt by association to anybody who supports President Trump, try to cancel him, and try to cancel all of us. Michelle Obama. Polls tell me that this is one of the most popular people in the country. I don't know about that, but Michelle Obama calls on Twitter and Facebook to permanently ban Donald Trump. Why? Because he told a bunch of folks to march peacefully. This is Orwellian, up is down, down is up kind of crazy stuff. The trickle-down effect I'm worried about, by the way, for folks in media and folks at home. Anybody feels like they're coming for us. So I've been thinking about this. If CNN, if Donald Trump had won, I would have been happy. My preferred candidate would have won. I might have poked fun at some of the media who told us it was all over months ago, but I wouldn't have advocated for their cancellation. I wouldn't have targeted them. But that's what they're doing on the left to folks on the right. I want to show you something from CNN. These are two folks who work there, Brian Stelter and Oliver Darcy. They're not dumb guys, but they can be pretty vicious because now that their guy won, they're trying to cancel much of the media, raise questions. I want to put this up, and these are fighting words, big time. Take it full if you don't mind so I can read it. After Wednesday's incident of domestic terrorism on Capitol Hill, it is time that TV carriers face questions for lending their platforms to dishonest companies that profit off of disinformation and conspiracy theories. So people like Brian and Oliver, they're going to tell you what you can know. We all have access to the same internet, okay? You don't have to be licensed to be a journalist, all right? They didn't go to some special school. They don't have access to some information or some notion that you don't have access to. This is all actually very, very equal. But there they are, and others like them, and Michelle Obama advocating for cancellation and kicking people out of society. That's scary, scary stuff, isn't it? And that's not what Joe Biden said he was going to do. Today, and when he launched his campaign.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.